Hello and welcome to another episode of Alpha TV. My name is Abe Verghese. I just like to say thank you for joining us today because you're in for a treat. Today we have, well, I guess I should tell you right now, this is going to be a biased review because this is one of my most favorite cars ever created in the world. It is the, what is it? Come on, can you guess? The Corvette Z06. That's right, the Z06 version, not the base model. This one comes equipped with 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. You can't even tell how beautiful this blue is. It's so reflective that it's bouncing off the camera. It's like a Greek blue. I'm friends with a lot of Greek people, and when they say, hey, this is the color blue, this is the blue that they take. We got this huge, and let me say huge, front splitter. You see here, that's the bumper. It comes right off that from over here, and look how massive it is. It is huge. I don't even want to look at the bottom of that. I don't want to see. You see it comes out towards the end, and one of the easiest ways you can tell whether a car is a Z06 or another package is from this front grille right here. This is what the Z06 has. The Grand Sport has something that looks almost identical, and they do it to make you trick people to think it's a Z06, but it's not. But the base Stingray has like a little silver line there and looks a little different. So that's one way you can tell. And if you also notice, there are cameras right there. And there's also a camera right over there. Now, it has the beautiful flag that represents Corvette in all its beauty. We got a nice little roof scoop over here. I will lift it up. It is actually a functional scoop. As you can see, the air coming out of there. Now, how would you be able to see air coming out of there? You wouldn't, but you'd see the grille facet underneath it. Here we got the Corvette Lights, and if you can see, it kind of reminds me of Ferrari lights from the 458 lights because they have it like right over there on the side as well. And they got this nice daytime running light over here. Now, if you take a step back, you can just see all of it in its beauty. Now, another way people know immediately it's a Z06 is from the beautiful badge over here. This is an actual air vent, not like a lot of fake vents going to the tires. It's an actual air vent. Now over here, at least, yep, these guys, they kept the Pilot Sports, the Michelins, which is what these cars are known for, but it's a hefty price to run one of these. And a lot of times, I hate when cars have ugly rims and you have to change it, but this, it's a beautiful rim that comes straight from factory. Now, it rained last night, so please ignore all the dirt, but you got a nice side splitter over here. You got another vent over here. This is a little tricky. How do you open the door, right? It's, you just put your hand behind here, and there's like a weird, I don't even know how to, a button, I guess? It's this little button over here. I've had everybody complain getting into the passenger seat. How do you get in? It's a little confusing. Now, if we make our way over here, obviously we have manual seat settings. We have unlock, lock. Another thing that tricks people that kind of reminds me of Tesla is this. To get out, it's a button. Push the button, unlocks it, and then open the car door. Now, we do have the Corvette logo here, and we do have these beautiful seats. Now, what I like about these seats is it's comfortable. And I have back problems, and not once did I even think about the seats. Not once did it hurt at all, and I love seats like that. Because there are some sports cars, it's so uncomfortable, even just getting into it. And just for that reason alone, I don't want to buy the car. But these seats are comfortable seats. You see we have the three-way adjustments here. The gas pedal, this isn't automatic. I know you're thinking, oh my God, where's the clutch? No, this is an automatic, so we just got the flat bottom from the base. Now, let's get into the car. Oh, buddy. Now, that is a little low to get in. Now, over here, we have the left and right mirrors. We have the heads-up display. Let's turn the car on actually first, shouldn't we? Oh, that's why you turned it on, for that noise. And to move the heads-up display, over here we have the info button, which basically changes the view on the heads-up display, so it gives you a couple gauges, which is kind of cool. This we have how light and how bright you want the heads-up display. So if you want it all the way low, you put it down. If you want it all the way high, you put it up, which I think is very cool because a lot of heads-up displays, I can barely even tell that they're there. Now this button, I don't know if you noticed, I hope you did, this is a convertible. So when we push that button all the way over there, the top is actually gonna come up. So I'm gonna push it. Hold on, wait for it. Ooh, ooh. sometimes I stop right there. I've done this probably 80% of the time because I say, hey, the front click, I'm done. And then I look back and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't leave that. It's not finished. So I gotta keep clicking the button. And how you know it's done is, hold on. You get that beep. So when you get that beep, that's when you know it's done. We're gonna take it back off. Now, one of the things that I like that they did is they kept this as the body color. If you notice, this is inside the car, but it's still that blue. So a lot of times, sometimes when I'm taking like Snapchats or Instagram videos of my passenger or me, you'll actually see that in, and you'll see the logo there so they know what car it is, which I think is kind of cool. I'll actually show you an example right here. Excuse my hair, but you ready for this?
No, 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 no! No, I mean, stop it! I mean,
Would you ever get one of these?
Never.
You're not about this 650 horsepower life? No? What's the problem?
No. That's not good.
What's the problem? I'm going to quickly show you through the inside. This is, again, they remind you it's a Z06. And in case you forget and you have short-term memory loss, it is 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. It is a Z06 and it is supercharged. So all your little quick facts are there for when people ask you, and trust me, people will ask you. As we move our way to the cluster, we have a digital gauge in the middle, and then we have analog gauges on the sides. These analog gauges look like they're from 1995. 100 miles an hour is literally in the middle there. So this is absolutely useless. Why did you waste my space? I wish you had put something else there. Gasoline, okay, sure, you can put that. PSI, sure, I mean, you can leave that. I just think, personally, because they did such a beautiful job on the digital display, I wish everything was digital, and I wish they didn't waste so much space on the analog, but I'm okay because at least there's one nice big digital screen in the middle, right? So now we work our way to the infotainment system. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a secret little compartment. It's one of my favorite little tricks about the car. You press this screen button, and there's a little compartment there. Now, something I've always wondered when I watch other people's car videos is, can you fit a Glock inside there? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Now, for comparison reasons, I have an iPhone 11 Pro. I'm going to put it in there and you'll see. That's how far it is that way. That's how far it is that way. So it won't fit a Glock, but you can fit a lot of things in there if you're, you know, you got 2-3 phones, and you know, you got a girl in the car and you want to, you know, hide some phones. Bada bing, bada boom. Not that we'd ever do that. Now, if we bring our way over here, this is kind of cool. That was kind of interesting to me. Ba-doop! We got a little car charger, a little cigarette outlet, cigarette lightlet, whatever you want to call this nonsense. And believe it or not, we have cup holders. I know you'd be surprised in sports cars. This is a real lifesaver. Over here, we have an electronic parking brake. I know, I kind of wish we had the manual one so we can rip it around sometimes, but it is what it is. Over here, we have mode select. So it's basically gonna cycle through the modes, and I'll show you right here. We have weather, excuse me. We have eco, we have touring, we have sport, we have track. I don't have enough balls to put it on track, so I leave it on sport. Now, over here we have the beautiful Prindle. I know what you're thinking. Where is the 7-speed manual gearbox? I think it's a 7-speed. I hope it is. I think it is. This car, we don't have it. It is the Prindle. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, manual. I'm going to talk a little bit about it when we go for a ride. Here is the climate control. But wait, what is that over there? Oh, wow. The passenger has his own climate control. I know, it's kind of nuts. Now let's take a look at this infotainment system. I know this is silly to start off with, but I always appreciate a car with a good forward and a good back button. It's right there, it's easy, it's a nice firm click, and it's when you're driving, you have other things to worry about. So big, nice little click right there. Now, this infotainment system, it's fairly responsive. It's not as laggy as I thought it would be, and honestly, I've dealt with cars that are so much worse that I don't mind this laggy. Even if you want to call it lag, it's not even lag, but I don't mind this infotainment system at all. Now we have the climate control over here. Now, I know you guys, honestly, I know you guys don't really care about this, but what you guys really want to see is the drive. So now let's go for a drive. We're back inside the Corvette Z06, and now I'm going to take you for a drive. Now, some of my thoughts, as soon as I get into the car, you know, my first fetish in life, a very good steering wheel. And this definitely is. It has a flat bottom, which is great. It has a nice groove inserts. The manual Triptonic gear shifters are right there behind your fingers. Now, before I even get into the Triptonic, I want to tell you something that I was actually going to destroy Chevy for. Now, if you see down here, there's a Prindle, what I like to call, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then M for manual. Now, when you put it in drive, obviously the car goes, it's automatic transmission, but then obviously you can use the flappy pedal, the Triptonic gearbox. So when you go and you cycle through, let's say I cycle through and I'm on third gear. Now, I'm still in the drive mode on the gearbox, and when that happens, it just automatically wants to cycle up to 7th gear if I lay off the gas for 2 seconds. It's always trying to get to 7th gear, I guess, to save gas and to make it quieter. And for the first 2 hours of driving the car, I'm like, why is it doing that? I'm like, why isn't it like, if I'm in Triptonic mode, it should be keeping what I put the car in. And it was very annoying that it wasn't doing that. But then I realized it's not because I'm in manual mode for M, which is confusing because when I did enable Triptonic mode in D, the M down here by the gearbox would light up, so I figured I'm in manual mode. But no, if you actually move the gear lever to M for manual, then it will treat it like an actual manual car per se and hold the gears, and it's going to listen to what gear I tell it to instead of automatically trying to shift it up 7th, which is a good tip in case you want to drive a Z06. I honestly apologize for going so slow right now. It's because I have an old lady in front of me and I'm going 21 miles an hour in a Corvette Z06, which is honestly so sad. Now, if I put it to first gear right here, I'm gonna give some space for the old lady to get on out of my way. But let's go for it. I know, accelerating on a corner in a Z06, are you crazy? And of course, it wouldn't be a Z06 without Shaw acceleration. What did I say? Shaw? Excuse me, raw acceleration. One of the things I was actually nervous to drive this car was because of the acceleration and because it's rear-wheel drive. And I've heard a lot of people say the Z06 is the kind of car that, you know, it feels like it's gonna kill you. So when I got the keys to this car, I've driven it for a very long time, for like basically all day yesterday. Not once did I feel like the car was going to kill me, surprisingly. And believe me, I was pushing. But no, not once did I think it was going to kill me. Did I lose control a few times? Yeah, of course I did. On purpose, when I go around the corner and I floor the gas, it kicks the back out and does a nice little fishtail, but I did it on purpose and I caught it. But even when I did fishtail, I felt like I was perfectly in control. Obviously, when you drive a car like this, you have to be careful. You can't drive it like it's a Honda Civic and floor it at every corner. You have to be smart, but it doesn't want to kill you as much as other people might say. Is that a cop? Oh, buddy. Oof. Well, I was racing, I thought that was a cop, but no. It's just a 7 Series chilling on the side. Now, one of the greatest things about this car is the exhaust. And why I like it is because it's kind of stealth in the fact that when you floor the gas pedal, yeah, you're gonna hear it. And as soon as I found that after you go 6,500 is red line. In between 6,000 and 6,500, if you change the gears, it gives you this nice little backfire, this nice little pop, which I love. But it's only loud when you floor it. Otherwise, if you're like right now, well, right now I'm in manual mode. Let's put it back to drive. It's stealth. What is this? This is a Prius. This is not a Corvette. What are you talking about? So when you just floor it and you book it, and then someone calls you on, gives you a 911 call, there's some guy speeding here, and no, it wasn't me, officer. It was the Prius. The Prius was speeding, not me. Which is one of the things I love. It's loud when it wants to be, but it's quiet when you need it to be. Know what I mean? Like, you don't want to kill your neighbors. It's like when you straight pipe cars, your neighbors want to destroy you. This, you can get away with it. Now, I know the Z06 does have a top speed of 205 miles per hour, but this isn't a car that you necessarily have to push that far to have fun. Just because there's so much torque, keeping it under 100, you'd have a blast. Gunning it around town, it's so much fun. And when you hear that Spitfire, oh, it's out of this world. Now, one of the things I don't like specifically about the convertible model, this is a convertible. Unfortunately, I had to put the top up to get better audio. But when the top is up, there's this pillar right over here where I cannot see jack diddly squat. So it is the biggest blind spot in the world. And honestly, I mean, not that I condone racing, but if I had to race somebody and I'm cutting in and out, I can't see. I can't race with this, with the top down. That's too much of a blind spot. That's too much of a risk for me. So if I was gonna race, or if I was gonna spirited driving, I guess is the better term. If I was gonna have some spirited driving, I would rather have the top down. And that's okay, because a car like this, it's rear wheel drive, it's 650 horsepower. You're not gonna really wanna drive it unless there's good weather out. Now, honestly, I feel like we should have a count of how many times I said 650 horsepower, because I said it at least 30 times. And the guy behind me, I'm currently making eye contact with him through my rearview mirror, and it's very awkward, because I want to gun it, but I don't know if he's a cop. And there's also a police station right there. Should I gun it? I probably shouldn't, but I probably will, because, you know, I'm a dick like that. Now, the things I do like, you know, sometimes when designers design cars and you just think like, yo, what were you thinking? Like, I wish I was the designer designing that car, because I would never do that. I have zero complaints about the designs of this car. I think they did a literally perfect A+. I'm Indian. Indians don't give out A+, but for design on the exterior of this car, I give it an A+. On the inside, I'd give it a B+. And the only thing that's killing me is these analog gauges. I really wish they just use that space for something better in mind. Maybe full digital, something like the BMWs and Mercedes are doing, which is what they've incorporated in the C8. Now, a thing of something I'm not a fan of is how low it is as well. It is a little low to get in your car. Someone said your ass is to the grass. Yes, it's true, but with a car like this, you need the downforce, you need it to be low, so I'm not complaining too much. Now, now driving this car around, it just surprises me how easy it is to drive. It's not like you think a Z06, wow, you need like a lot of skill to drive that car. Yes, but to an extent, as long as you're not like an 18-year-old idiot and you have somewhat of a brain and you kind of know how to drive cars, you'll be fine, which is very surprising. It's a lot. You can easily do donuts. Oh, another thing that pisses me off is, you know, when you want to put the car in park or neutral and you want to rev the engine to hear the exhaust, they limited it to 4,000 RPM, which a car like this, I'd expect it to go at least 6,000 RPM. Why 4,000? You can barely hear the full power of this exhaust. Now, something that I love about this car is I had the top down. I was driving all around yesterday, and when you drive expensive cars, there's this feeling of hatred on the road. You're like, oh, you're some rich snob, that, oh, you shouldn't be driving like that, oh, who do you think you are, blah, 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 blah. But when you're driving this car, for some reason, everybody loves it. I can drive a car that's $20,000 cheaper than this, the same way, people would hate me. But this car, like, it's a Corvette. I don't know if it's Go America. I don't know if it's the fact that these people feel like they could also own one of these as well because it's a Corvette. A lot of people own Corvettes. I don't know what it is exactly, but people respect this car on the road, which is very interesting. And when you have the top down, because it's a convertible, you can just have conversations with literally everybody. And that's another thing I love about convertibles and cars like this in general. People come to you. Any place I stop, people start coming to me and they start talking to me about cars. And it's just a great way to network and meet with people. The suspension is also not as stiff as you'd believe. I've driven, again, sports cars that are much stiffer than this. This technology, Ferrari actually leases it for their 458 Italia. They use the same magnetic ride dampening suspension, which is a kind of a fun fact to just throw out there. Yeah, Ferrari leases Chevy's technology. It's kind of cool to say, right? Now, I love the suspension. It's not too rough, but it's just enough. Obviously, you have to avoid potholes, but that's with every car. And that acceleration, boy, it'll put hair on your chest. And that's what I love about the acceleration is, right now I'm in automatic mode with not Triptonic, and as soon as I floor the gas, give it like a second and a half, and then you'll hear the exhaust. So like otherwise it's nice and quiet, it's normal, you're not bothering anyone. The second you floor, and I love that. Another thing that pisses me off that I don't understand why they do is when you turn the car off, the seat comes forward. Even though my seat is far back and I need more space to get in and out of the car, when I turn the engine off, it comes forward. So I have less room to get out of the car. Does that make sense to anybody? I don't get it. I don't know why they do that. If anything, it should be the opposite. It should, like the Range Rovers, they go backwards to give you more space, which is what anybody with a brain would do. But it said you get less room because, you know, that makes sense. Now, if you also notice with a convertible, I don't know how people do it. My hair is a mess today, but it's the price you gotta pay to drive a car like this. Am I right? Buddy coming in the corners. Now I'm honestly not, is it weird that I'm not worried? I'm in a Corvette Z06, I'm pushing it, it's a 30-mile-an-hour corner, and is it weird that I'm not worried? That to me is like the biggest thing. I don't know if people just hype it up. I don't know if I'm not pushing it hard enough. I think I'm pushing it pretty hard, but I'm not worried. And that to me is scary because it's an everyday car that you can actually put the power to the floor. Uh-oh, we got a biker, so let me slow it down. But it's an everyday supercar. It's not a supercar, but it's an everyday car where the power can translate to the floor. I feel like I'm getting what I pay for, which is crazy. Like, this is a single lane road. It rained last night, and I'm not worried to drive it. We got a nice corner coming up ahead. Let's jam on the brakes, jam on the brakes. Take that in. Jam on the brakes on the straight. Accelerate out of, oh, not yet. Out of the corner. Jam on the brakes. Oh man. This is literally like as much fun as you can have on the street. Isn't that nuts? Oh my gosh. I went a little too fast. I wasn't even trying to go that fast, but I went that fast. Now, the $1 million question. Every single time, by the end of my video, I ask, would I buy this car? Now, would I? It's a loaded question. Yes and no. Would I buy this car? Yes, but if I bought it, I would have to keep it for probably at least 6-7 years to get my full worth out of this. And why I say I do that, because to buy and sell Corvettes, it's a little tricky. People don't negotiate as much as they do. People are very irrational when they sell it compared to other cars you can quickly get in and out of. And I know there are going to be Corvette fanboys who say, wow, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? That's not true. You can get one. I mean, yeah, you can get one if you want to lose a lot of money and you want to deal with stupid people. I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. I'm talking facts. And sure, I don't want to generalize about the whole market, but I'd say 70% of the used Corvette market, especially if it's not from a dealer and it's private sellers, it's a pain in the neck to deal with. Would that deter me from buying a Corvette? Yeah, it would, because I like to personally, if I was going to buy cars, I like to get in and out with a year, year and a half, max 2 years. So would that deter me? Yeah, because I have a feeling I'm going to lose a lot of money on this car compared to other cars, and it's going to depreciate a lot, even after the first year or two of depreciation. And to find a buyer willing to pay for that, it's tough. I swear, man, every time it puts hair on my chest, man, I lose a breath. It's, you know, people say sometimes, you know, to really enjoy life, you gotta smoke weed, you have to drink alcohol, you gotta do drugs, and I say, no. The real key in life is drive fast cars. And a fast car I'd recommend for you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Chevy Z06 Corvette. Now that's it for today's episode of Alpha TV. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't joined yet, consider smashing that subscribe button. Like this video, and most importantly, comment. Would you buy a Z06 or not? That's it for today. See you later. Peace.